Hey everybody, Ryobi King back again today. Today's going to be a review on the 10-inch Ryobi miter saw. Now this is the corded version. I do not own any cordless miter saws. I'm not a big fan of them, and I'll explain why later in the video. But I can tell you this. Out of every miter saw I've ever used, I've used the Dewalt, I've used the Milwaukee on job sites and things like that. I prefer the Ryobi. I'm going to be straightforward though. At the beginning of this video, you can tell why there is a price difference in these tools. The Ryobi itself, it's not less reliable or burn up or anything like that. They last. They're just not quite. Everything about it isn't quite as precise. Will it do your jobs? Absolutely, and that's what I'm going to show you in this video. So let's get started, and you guys tell me what you think in the comments below. And make sure to like and subscribe, because I'm almost to 1,000 and I'm really excited. So stay tuned.
Some basic specs if you guys are interested right off the bat. It does use a 120 volt motor. That's a 15 amp. The blade arbor, it's a 5/8, which is standard for a 10-inch blade. Blade diameter, it does use a 10-inch blade. Yeah, and it does cut into up to a 45-degree angle, which is really nice whenever you're doing trim cuts and different types of cuts that, require it. As far as the dust collector bag, it's about average. It does collect some dust, but doesn't help a whole lot. So let's do a couple cuts, and you guys tell me what you think in the comments. Now, just like in my last saw video, I find it really hard to try to show testing of these saws for you guys, because they honestly just do their job. It's hard to look at a tool like this and say, well, it doesn't cut as well as the other ones, because at the end of the day, a lot of that just comes down to the quality of blade and the type of blade that you have on your tool.
Now, the truth about the cut of a miter saw. You hear a lot of people say, well, the Ryobi doesn't, or this brand doesn't, or this brand doesn't cut very good. The cuts always come out rough. I have found, in my experience, that has nothing to do with the miter saw. That has everything to do with your blade. So if you're using a really cheap, well, the one I got on here is just it's a general purpose. It's a 40 tooth. It's nothing great, but this is good for like your moderate stuff. It all comes to the blade. So typically, if you're trying to get a really fine cut, the more teeth you got, the better. So Diablo makes. I love Diablo. They make a really nice 90 tooth. I have one of those just in case I ever need it, but I never put it on here unless I'm doing something really precise or something that needs to be really clean. Or if I'm using, if I'm cutting a higher quality wood, something like that, where I don't want it to splinter up. Mostly 90% of that doesn't have anything to do with the saw itself. It's just the blade. Now, where accuracy does come is from this. Okay, so whenever you grab a miter saw granted it's moving because it's on a stand, but the blade itself, if it's got flex left and right. Okay, and most of that comes from downward pressure. Okay, so whenever you're pushing down on this, if you're going into something and you're pushing kind of hard, and you're pushing, what that'll do is that'll cause that blade to kind of kick over, and then you won't be quite as accurate. This saw is mostly plastic construction, except where there needs to be metal, or else it just will fail. So that's kind of the big downfall with this, is if you're cutting anything that's relatively thick, you're just gonna put more wear on your saw. Does that make it an awful saw? Absolutely not. It's little nitpicky things, but those little nitpicky things can make a big difference to some people that are trying to cut extremely accurate. This saw does have a laser, which I already kicked that on during the video, and I had on, but the laser is when I got it from the factory, it was accurate from the factory, but there is a little laser adjustment right here. You just stick in an Allen key and it turns it, and it makes the laser change direction. So that is really nice. This saw does not have a light on it, so whenever you pull it down, like a lot of Ryobi stuff, it does not have a light on it. The adjustment at the base is really nice. It turns freely. You can also twist on this handle down here, and I'll put up a little clip of that here real fast of me turning that handle. Yeah, it's great. The worst part about this saw and this is the only thing I can complain about this saw about and say I do not like, is the actual mitering, the sliding aspect of this saw. It's very gritty. Is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. There's definitely worse. I don't know if any of you have ever used the Harbor Freight brand, but it's substantially worse than this one. But there are a lot better if that's something that's very important to you.
And yes, I was using the Ryobi miter saw stand. I would not suggest buying this stand unless it's on like a Black Friday deal where you could get it for $59, because there's really nothing special about this stand whatsoever.
And then to wrap this video up, like I was talking about earlier, why do I not like battery operated miter saws? You're looking at the biggest thing about it right now. They're stationary. They're a stationary tool. They're not supposed to move. You're not supposed to pick them up, move them around. Not that you're not supposed to, but you don't typically do it. They stay in one space. So what's the point of running batteries in something that doesn't really need to be moved around very often? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I understand when you're on a job site that doesn't have electric, but then where are you going to charge your batteries at when they go dead? I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me. Maybe if you're just trying to run everything off batteries, then cool. But for me, I'd rather have me a good old corded one. They're easier to use in my opinion because you don't got to mess with the batteries, and they're sitting in one place anyways. Plus they typically have a lot more power than the battery operated ones, so that's kind of a big deal to me. But that's just me. Now the reason I chose a 10-inch sliding miter saw as opposed to the 12-inch was because of the price difference. The 12-inch is substantially more expensive just for 2 more inches of sliding capability. I run into very few scenarios where I need lumber that wide. So thanks for coming and watching this video today, guys. I hope you kind of got an idea about this saw and if you think it's up to your standard of what you want to use. I know it's up to mine, and I wouldn't have bought another saw because for the price, this thing will do everything I need it to do and more. Thanks for coming and watching this video today. As always, like, subscribe to my channel. Yeah, please. I really need to hit that 1,000. It'd be great. I'll see you guys in the next video.
And today's video shoutouts for Philip D. Garcia. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you want to watch any more videos, click on one of the links above.